Hey, yo, in this episode of the Carolina Chuck podcast, we're going to talk to my friend Jenn Coleman. She's a local morning radio host for Tunes 92.5. And when I started this podcast, she was quick to let me come on and promote it. And what I find interesting about Jenn is we have a similar story. And before she got into radio, she got to know the community through bartending, and I got to know the community through selling cars. She's originally from Cleveland, but she moved here from North Carolina just like I did. So it's interesting to me to learn of a similar experience of experiencing the North Country from someone who thought New York was New York City, you know? So y'all sit back and check out Jenn Coleman and be good. Peace out.
Mic check. Mic check.
There it is.
Is it too close? Am I too close?
Oh, you're good.
Ooh, is there a bottle of water too?
That's for you.
Thank you.
Gotta keep it fresh.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Compliments the show and the chef.
I'm searching for water sponsors right now.
Oh my gosh, who is gosh, what is that? I don't know for an interesting office. I'll think of it. I'll let you know because I know somebody that would do that.
Yeah, Nate was telling me about. He has a water sponsor too.
There's a guy that he used to bring it to the law offices for us, and I can't remember who it is, but I know he would do it.
Yeah,
he would love it. He'd just put it up here, and he'd be like, "That's me."
Yeah. That'd be cool. So what's up?
Nothing, man. Nothing.
Yeah.
Just super excited. I was like all nervous today. I had to take a power nap.
Yeah.
You know I'm up early.
Dude, I took a power nap yesterday, and I thought I slept for 4 hours.
Dude,
because I talked to Eric Wagner, the city manager.
How was that?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I was beyond intimidated. I was like, this guy used to be the deputy garrison commander at Fort Drum.
I'd have mispronounced it, so you were one step ahead.
Yeah. So I'm like, I even asked him. I was like, dude, how do you pronounce? Because luckily he led into like he was from Holland or something.
What?
Or his family was, and he's
Really?
like, yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. So how do you pronounce your last name? And
Right.
you know, and he's like, it's Eric Wagner. I was like,
Wagner.
Oh. And it's some Franciscus, some kind of crazy first name. I was like, wow, that's wild.
No, I was so intimidated when I did the interview with Sarah Campo Pierce, because I followed her career, just by living here.
Yeah.
And so when we did the Women's Network Wednesday, I was like so excited to meet her and to talk to her, and I had all these questions. And I had like 20 questions planned for like 10 minutes. I'm like, boo, you need to chill. You're not going to get all that. Now you're just looking a little bit like a stalker.
Yeah.
Like, just relax. So I had to like go in and kind of like figure out the things that I thought were interesting, of course, but that were interesting to that I thought maybe would like.
People would find interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Like some kind of like commonality between us.
I screwed that up too. I was like, isn't this other guy the mayor? And he's like, no, it's that Sarah. I was like, I just did that. My bad.
I've done it. Listen, last year at the downtown block party. Hey man, just take it for what you will.
Yeah.
So we were down there, and the former mayor was down there. He was like, hey, he comes up, was like, what's going on, Jen? How you been? Congratulations. I'm like, yeah, it's good, homie. Like, totally just shooting it. And my boss was like, that was really nice of him. And I was like, yeah, sure, it was awesome. Like, of course it was nice. It's nice of anybody. You know what I mean? But then he was like, so that was the mayor, and I'm like, no. What? Like, what do you mean? I was like, that was extraordinarily nice. You know what I mean? So, like, it's really nice if anybody does it, but if somebody who's busy enough and doing something like that in a function makes their way to you, I should have been a little more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, it happens.
Just like, what's up, homie? Dork.
You know how many people that I've been running into lately, and they know me, and I don't know who the heck they
It's
are.
a terrible thing. Yeah,
it really
hard.
feels terrible, but I mean, hey, I just play along with it.
You gotta just go and like literally like have a teammate, like a friend that knows your situation, and be like, all right, listen, I'm going to come up to this person and be like, oh man, hey, me and this guy go way back.
Yeah.
And then pretend like there's something going on.
Yeah.
And then that person will be like, I'm so-and-so nice.
Right.
And then you're removed from it.
Yeah.
Don't put that on there.
Yeah.
It's a trick of the trade.
We're live right now. But
I literally do it to my friends all the time where I'll be like, oh yeah, like so-and-so, we met doing this and blah, blah, or whatever small conversation I can come up with. And they'll be like, hold on 1 second, and dip. And then they introduce themselves. I'm like, what was their name? They're like, you suck for setting me up for that every time. I'm like, oh, well, you're my teammate.
I met this guy, I ain't going to say it. I ran into this guy at Walmart the other day.
Yeah.
And you know, they give you that look, you know, and he's like smiling. He goes, Carolina Chuck. And I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, like, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm a prison guard.
What?
He said, there's inmates that mimic you. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. You know,
That's awesome.
But it's pretty wild, man. It's pretty, and that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I feel like we are kind of on the same path right now. You know what I mean? Like,
it's one of those. It's like an accidental but meant to be kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you're doing a really good job with the whole Women's Wednesday thing. That's really cool. You've set a niche. And the thing about it, I mean, no offense, everybody, but there's not a lot of influencers and that's young enough to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean, because when I came here, I was like same as you. I was new here. I didn't know anybody. I moved here. I'm originally from Cleveland, but I moved here from North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's like night and day, as you well know. And I felt kind of like on the outside of things a little bit. Like everybody was super nice. I didn't have any problems. Like, you know, I talk like to a million people. I talk too much sometimes. So I didn't have a problem making friends.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have like a connection where it was like my circle of friends. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
people that I could like,
you
know, those are my people. I had people I knew, but I didn't have anybody that I was like, I'm going to call this person when I'm feeling low or whatever.
I've honestly, I know exactly what you mean, because I felt like, and I mean, now I've got some people that I know are good friends, but I still don't feel that connection that I've had with people.
Right.
Like, but I know that they're really good friends. And sometimes you just go home at night and you're like, oh, I don't know how to connect with these people.
Like, what was that? Sometimes I'm kind of like, what kind of relationship is this? Like, what is that? Like, what am I doing that is kind of like, I'm still a part of it, but I'm kind of like withdrawn at the same time.
Yeah.
So over the years and all the jobs that I was a bartender, I've always been a bartender. So that was my way of like being.
How long have you been here?
Oh God, I moved here in like 2002, dude.
What?
Yeah, and then I moved away to Virginia Beach.
Oh wow.
Then I went to Ohio, and then I came back. Yeah, Virginia Beach. Whew, not for me. I would die there if you'd let me. I was a young kid and was like, this is the best time of my life. But then I came back here, and the same people. People grew up here. You know, this is my hometown now because I've been here for 20-something years. Yeah. But like, it didn't feel that way initially. So when I came back, and these same people that I was friends with before are still here, and they're evolving and they're becoming, you know, participating members of the community, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to have a little more of a connection because their permanence made me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to know more about why they wanted to stay. What made them feel the ties that they felt to this place? And then I got to know the women that are on the Women's Network Wednesday, that I've worked with, that I've come across with in the schools, or that I've, you know, served their favorite Cosmo to. And I was like, how can I make the women that are just moving to this area see how connected we are, and don't waste the time that I wasted not making that connection, because they're so available to do it and they want to help you. Right. You know, and that doesn't go just for women. I'm just putting it from the perspective of.
And I totally understand that, because my wife, she is very not outgoing, right? And so she's dealing with issues where not having as many friends as she went to school with. So that what you're putting out there, I'm trying to like
have her come in the studio. I would love her to. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, no, just like come in, and like we have these different things that we do there where, you know, we highlight certain businesses, but at the same time, it's really just getting to know members of the community, which is why I like doing what I do, is because, like you said, you got to find those connections with people. Yeah. And for me, that's the easiest way, is to talk to them.
And then like what I was getting into was, I think that what you're doing and the people who are actually consuming it are, and I don't know how to explain it. Maybe some women are not all, but have that kind of like issue where they're not as outgoing as some of the guys are. Yeah. And making friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
it's a hard world for women. It's a hard world because we are our own worst critics, but we also have that maternal instinct for most of us, a lot of us, That's like, we want to make everybody happy. We want to make sure that we don't have to ask for too much help, be too much of a burden, do all the things that we're supposed to do, and all look fabulous while we're doing it. You know what I mean?
What
it's
you're
hard.
doing is these women that are at home or whatever at work and who are new to the area, like at Fort Drum and such like that. I mean, I think it's a good thing. It kind of gives them, you know what I mean? Kind of gives them like, oh, well, there's somebody that's putting in the work for me. You know what I mean? There's something I can listen to and actually reach out.
All of us so relatable, like man, woman, whatever. It's the different stages in our lives. I was just having this conversation with this random person at Paddock that I met that was the nicest person. I was like, she looked at me and she was like, I haven't seen anybody that I wanted to like have a conversation with. And she was like, for some reason, I just wanted to come over and talk to you. I was like, hey, come sit down. Because I love to talk. So we got to chit-chatting and I was like, our ages came up. And she was like, how old are you? I was like, I'm 42. And she goes, oh my God, I'm 41. I go, don't you find it wild that like now that we're in our 40s, we're just trying to like evolve and figure out this chapter of our life. And we're not scared about getting older. We're excited because it's like every decade I unlock this part of my brain that I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, who is that? How did I not know that before? It's like these weird life experiences that as I get older, I don't feel any different. I just feel more engaged and more in touch with the people around me. So this opportunity with Women's Network Wednesday, I get to talk to women in all different evolutions of their life and all different stages in business and in life and in marriage and in motherhood and all of those things. But it all comes to the same thing, is that we are all going through it at the same pace, different paces, but like we're going through the same stages. And to hear someone who's wildly successful be like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm just trying to figure it out, is relaxing, because you're like, oh, she doesn't have all the answers, but it looks like she's got it all together.
Yeah.
So you're not just trying to keep up anymore. You're relating to someone who's already been through that stage of your life, and hopefully it helps you to slow down, take a minute, and be like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I got this, Yeah.
And for me, it's hard for me, I can't be like, and I'm just speaking as me as in general, other fellows or however it works out, but I'm just thinking how that kind of stuff helps out in with my relationship. You know what I mean? Because men fall back and you're like, well, I got to take my wife to meet these friends and this friends and to try to make it happen.
Sunday brunch dates.
Yeah, but when you're putting in the work like that, I think it can really be a huge thing for people's psyche, and not just women, men that have to go through the same thing. But also, I mean, heck, you've got some really any entrepreneur really is pretty inspiring. I mean, I'm digging your show.
Thank you.
And the music y'all play.
Oh yeah, we got the variety,
moly.
man. The variety is crazy. I used to listen to 92.5 before I worked there,
Really?
which is crazy. It's such a crazy thing. I can't even say it with like a straight face that this is what's happening, or that I'm sitting here talking to you like I'm the Watertown bartender. You know what I mean? Like, so getting to play music on a station that I listened to when I was new here and didn't really make any connections with people, but would listen to that station to find out where to go, like where the live music's going to be. And now that's me doing that. It's like the coolest thing.
Yeah, and
we play great music.
Yeah, you do.
I'm super lucky.
Some of the old school people that I talked to today and told them they're like, oh, that's the bartender.
Yeah, I'm the bartender.
Yeah, they didn't even know you're on the radio. I'm like, come on, man. She's doing
It's
big
been quite
things.
an evolution. So when I'm at the bar, because I bartend at downtown Bad Apple, which is so fun. But I only do it on Friday and Saturdays now. But before, it was my full-time job. So like when people come into downtown and they're like, oh, this is where you were at? No, I'm like, yeah, I'm at the studio in the morning. And they're like, wait, you're not bartending? And I'm like, well, I'm bartending right now. You know what I mean? But in the morning, I do a radio show now, and they're like, oh my God, it's so.
So how did that happen? How did you get into the radio?
Bartending.
Let me go back a little bit further. Where did you go to high school at?
Ravenna High School in Ravenna, Ohio.
In Ohio.
Yeah, just like 30 minutes south of Cleveland. North, south.
30 minutes away from Cleveland.
I don't know. Yeah.
30 minutes away from Cleveland.
Yeah, 30 minutes from Cleveland. So I tell everybody I'm from Cleveland because, nobody knows.
Well, then I'm from Charlotte then, because I live 35 minutes from Charlotte.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were to like rifle off a little town in North Carolina, I may or may not know because I live there. But like likelihood of me knowing Charlotte is like.
Yeah.
So, but we spent a lot of time in Cleveland. My dad worked as a computer programmer for our local hospital, and my mother was a school teacher who wrote grants for the schools, and they both were heavily involved in politics. And I got to do a lot of traveling and meet a lot of people and, did pageants and all this crazy stuff. So I was always, but like never really found the outlet to where I could use that as a profession. Bartending was the closest thing. I could be behind the bar and talk to people and make people laugh and juggle and do weird things that would make people happy and then go home and be like, my cats and my plants. You know what I mean? Like be this like extrovert on the outside and have a lot of fun and meet friends, but then go home and hide.
So what happened right after high school?
I moved to North Carolina with my high school sweetheart, as we all do, because those dress blues.
Yeah.
And I got married young, very young, and coached a basketball team for the Provost Marshal's office at Cherry Point.
Really?
Yeah, that was like the coolest thing I've ever done. I mean, a bunch of guys and ages like 20 to 30 something calling me coach. And I was 18.
Guys basketball team?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was a very good basketball player. These days, I don't know, but back in the day, yeah. So that was, I chose to do that for a long time, lived down there for a couple years. Me and my ex split up. We were young. We were just young babies. You know what I mean? That was I wanted to get away from where I grew up for the simple fact of my identity was sports and pageants, So it was like, she's pretty and she can play sports. And that was pretty much what I was capable of. But I was like, I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
Cut my nose off to spite my face quite literally and was like, who needs college?
Yeah.
30 years later, your local bartender's on the radio. I don't know. It just was a crazy, more than 30 years. I don't like it. It's getting there. It's getting there. But yeah, it was.
I'm 38, by the way. So, I mean, I'm creeping up,
It's not the same. For men, it's very different.
Well.
You guys get to be all salt and pepper and gray and distinguished.
Yeah. That's why I wear this hat all the time.
Don't be hat fishing. That's not fair. But yeah, then I moved to I was in North Carolina, coached, met my ex-husband from here. It's getting a little Elizabeth Taylor. But he was from Watertown. We met down there at the gym where I was coaching. And he was like, do you want to go to New York? And I'm like, yeah, I love New York. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm meant for New York.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows if you're not from New York. Listen, I'm going to tell you, nobody knows if you're not from New York that this is not New York,
Yeah.
So I'm down in North Carolina.
Believe me, I know exactly what you're talking
like
about.
I
was down there when my wife was like, I was working at a car dealership when I met her, and she said, hey, my family owns a car dealership in New York called FX something. I was like, the heck is that? I was like, all right, whatever.
Isn't it funny, our own little bubbles? All these little bubbles that we have, everybody's like, FX, you go to Chicago and they're like, who? You know what I mean? But it's crazy. It's crazy.
But so you moved up to New York?
Yeah. Oh, I moved up to New York, and I came here with my ex-husband, the second one, and it was. I'm not gonna lie. I called my mom. I came up like right around Mother's Day, and was in a U-Haul, and I had like on a little bikini top and flip-flops and shorts because it was May, and we just drove from North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So I fell asleep somewhere entering into New York. I'm not really sure where, but I woke up at Syracuse Mall in the U-Haul, and my ex-husband was like, we got to go in here and get you some clothes. And I'm like, I don't need you buying me clothes. Like, I can do what I want, wear what I want. Blah, blah. All 19, feeling fine. And he's like, it's not because of what you're wearing. It's because it's not. You're just going to freeze. And I'm like, whatever. So I jump out of the truck all, frustrated. And there's this white stuff all over the parking lot. And I'm like, ooh. Like, I look around. I was like, was there a fire on the flight line? He's like, what flight line? This is the mall. And I'm like, the foam on the flight line for the fires. He's like, Jennifer, no fire. This is snow. I cried like the kind of cry that you only see in movies, and got in the car, pulled up my little antenna, flipped my phone, and was like, Mom, I made a mistake. Come get me right now. And she's like, I'm not coming to get you. You're in Canada now. And I'm like, what? So, of course, like, I run inside. I have to put on a flannel over my bikini top in the snow and get into the Syracuse Mall, and everyone is looking at me with, like, three heads. They're like, what are you? Who is this girl? Why are you wearing a bikini top and flip-flops? It's snowing. And I go to Old Navy and buy some clothes, crying the whole time. And I asked the cash register person, I was like, or the attendant, I was like, hey, is this like a normal thing? And he's like, not really. I mean, it gets cold, but it doesn't usually snow on Mother's Day. And I'm like, well, that's refreshing. Is this really Canada? Or he was like, well, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to Watertown. He goes, oh, no, honey, that's Canada. This is Syracuse. I was like, oh, no, what do you mean it's more north? And he's like, oh, yeah, an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm like, that's it. It's the end of my life. God. But it wasn't. It was so not. Like, as soon as I got here, I was such a cliche welcome to New Yorker. I had on this white wife beater that said, I love New York with a sequence heart.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, the whole nine. I go down to Fat Boys, a bar that used to be over there. I don't even know if it's called, what's the street called now? It's off of Factory Street. Anyways. Fat Boys, the Johnson brothers and their dad. And it was this little hole-in-the-wall bar that played like heavy metal music. And Al Soluri used to sing with this band called Dismantled down there. Had the biggest crush on those guys. I thought they were like the best band ever. So I would go down there all like, yay, it's New York. And they're like, who is this skinny black bitch? And what is her deal? You know what I mean? Like, It was just like, I felt so comfortable, but at the same time was like, oh, I don't know. It's not the New York that I was envisioning.
It's still weird.
And it was like more like home than it was New York to me. Like where I come from in Ravenna, it's like right outside of Ravenna. We're four-wheeling, we're, bonging beers and having bonfires and, we're having Friday night light parties. It's like the same thing as it is here.
Yeah.
So I was just a little bit like, oh, okay, this is doable. You guys like Dave Matthews Band too? Cool.
Yeah. I was surprised on everybody likes country music up here too. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. I listened to country music in Ohio because we had the Boot Scootin' Saloon, and it was the only place you could go country line dancing under the age of 18. It was like a juice bar, it's the most ridiculous thing. But when I got up here, I was like, there's no like saloon, there's no place to go country line dancing.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, yeah, no. And I'm like, but y'all listen to nothing but country music.
Yeah.
So like, I don't understand.
We're gonna have. I mean, there's some work to do, but
there's a little bit.
There's a little work.
Wait, was it Full Circle? Is it Full Circle? They do
a
country line dancing, but it's like on a Tuesday. Not trying to twisty turny on a Tuesday. Let me get freaky on a Friday.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Tuesday is my day off.
Okay, well, that's not it for me. No, and that's the other thing is the morning. Oh my God. I was a bartender, forever, 20 years.
That was one of my questions. I was like, how does it like from going from early morning to
the first year was woof. I'm surprised I still have a job. I was having a hard time getting up in the morning. Like, and when I would get up, I would wake up and be like, not with it. You know what I mean? Like like energetic and like excited. I would have to like get up extra early so that I could like ease into my vibe, I guess, because I would go to bed at 3:30, 4, 5 o'clock. Now I'm getting up at 5.
Yeah.
Ew. And I don't like it. I don't.
I come from the construction side of things, so I'm getting up later than I ever have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a cool thing that I got going on, but
dude, I've never liked getting up in the mornings. It's never been my bag. And now at least like I get up in the morning. I still don't like it.
Yeah.
But I get to get up in the morning and be like, okay, I like going to work. I don't like waking up. I like going to work. So if I could just figure that out, that'd be great. I just want to sleep till I want to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know what the problem is.
I mean, what helps me now is I get up and go to the gym. And it's more than just the exercise part. It's a mental thing. I like to get up really and just hit the treadmill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
I'm
throw
my
some
best
tunes
when I
on
get up and get on the elliptical first,
Yeah.
which is not even in my house now. So
Right.
I need to work on that. But you're right. It does feel good to like get up and move.
Yeah. And
that helps.
And it gets my wheels turning. I start thinking and, really it's refreshing. Then I do some weights, whatever. But it's really, it kind of gets me through the day, especially when I get up earlier. And then,
are you a coffee drinker?
Yeah.
I drink too much coffee.
I drink too much coffee too.
I used to think all the time that was because I'm not a good sleeper. So I'm like, because I sleep at like 3 hours at a time. It's like super weird. I don't understand. It's exactly 3 hours every time. So I'm like, maybe if I stop drinking coffee, well, then I'm just like a rabid animal on the streets. You know what I mean? I'm still not sleeping and nobody wants to be around me.
Right.
So I don't know what the deal is. I don't get like caffeine withdrawal headaches or anything. So I don't know why my body needs it to function so badly. Do you think it's mental?
Yeah, probably.
Probably mental. Yeah. Try and pull the elliptical in the house and give that a shot.
Do the walking thing. And then, whenever I got some big, dude, this whole thing we're doing right now, I got it from walking around the track in the Thompson Park. It just came to me. I had a little bit of the idea, but my son was playing on the park, and I threw some headphones on. I walked around for about an hour, and planned this whole thing out.
Oh, it's so awesome. How old's your son?
He's 7.
7.
No,
So did he come here with you from North Carolina?
Yeah.
How did he feel about that?
Well, he was 4 when he got here.
Oh, yeah. So he felt like, yay.
But listen, so check this out. My oldest daughter is 19. And she's from she's not from my wife, and she had literally just moved in with me for the first time in her whole life when she was 16, probably a couple months before we decided to move to New York. And my whole point to her, I was like, look, I live in the same spot, you don't have to worry about the not having Wi-Fi and stuff like that, bills are going to be paid, that kind of thing. And I don't ever move, and all of a sudden
you're like, not only are you moving, but
we're going away. Yeah. And, she did well. I mean, she came up here, she graduated, not this past, graduated the year before.
Geez, what an age to move to a totally different state.
Yeah. She did well. Then she ended up, she went to stay, she got her little job, went to stay with her friend for a little bit. And now she just moved back to South Carolina.
Really?
To go to school in Rock Hill.
Nice.
And, which is cool because now she's staying with my parents, which I feel better about because they're a little bit older and they're kind of, putting around or whatever.
Oh, it's so nice you still have your parents.
I know. It's scary.
Fortunate.
My dad had a spell not so long ago. I had to rush down there. My mom called me at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, hey.
It's never good.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. It's
See,
crazy.
that's the luxury, I guess, of having a small family now is that I am always on Do Not Disturb, but I am just not appropriate.
Yeah.
So it's like I never know what's going on until I pick up my phone. And, sometimes I'm like, if I get that random call in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have my phone on. For me, it's usually like, Jen, you left your sunglasses at the bar or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing ever usually too serious. But, yeah, I guess maybe the whole point of that is, like, I would be so grateful to have, like, the family that you have to actually pay attention to your phone. You know what I mean? Like, they're still there. Yeah. So you need to know what's going on and stuff. That's nice.
Yeah, my brother's had 2 kids since I've been up here.
Yeah, it's crazy. I
got to FaceTime. It is stressful.
Do you like FaceTiming?
Yeah, I mean, I got to. I have to now. I mean, that's the closest thing I can be. You know what I mean? Like that's my brother is like my best friend. You know what I mean? And
do guys worry about double chins when they FaceTime?
What do you think, Scratch? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not once, right? Women. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's just add that to our plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like FaceTime. I'm like, oh my God, I can't FaceTime. I had so much sodium today.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My wife and my daughter have pointed out mine on FaceTime. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? I know you're.
We do this to ourselves, We are always worried about it. So then we, it's a little projection. It's fine. It's not about you. Don't worry. We're just trying to do it for ourselves. Yeah. No, I don't. I hate FaceTiming because I'm like, ooh. I don't know the angles, and then I'm not listening to anything you're saying because I'm
right. Yeah, I'm looking at myself.
I am vain as a mother. I am a Leo. I have no control over it. I do the best I can, but if you're FaceTiming me, I'm looking at my angles.
And then when I'm doing videos I'm trying to. Not really though the lives and stuff I do, but like for when I'm cutting little parts for the TV show. Like they're like, you gotta look at the camera, and I'm like looking at myself, and then I watch it, and then I see my eyes like looking this way. I'm like, oh man.
So are you supposed to? Are you supposed to look at the camera?
I don't know. But one of the guys that was helping me do this, he was like, you gotta look at the camera. He's like, the one thing I noticed is you weren't looking at the camera. I'm like,
why do I feel like my dad? And you're taking the video, and your dad's like, so where do I look in this thing?
Yeah.
And like, what are you? I don't know. I'm gonna look at you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna look at.
Check this out. So the block party's coming up again.
Yeah, it's so fun.
They're trying to get me in the dunk tank. Did I tell you that?
Yes, do it. Yeah. The more spots that are filled, the less likely I'm going to sign up for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did talk about this. I was talking about roasting people. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday.
We distracting the batter. That's what you got to do.
Right.
I was a catcher. You just got to say some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And distract them. They're not going to like you very much, but it doesn't matter.
I'm going to watch basketball. You ever seen that?
What?
Basketball?
I thought you mispronounced it.
You ever seen basketball?
No.
Oh, that was legendary.
It was made by the guys that made South Park. It was
No, I haven't seen it.
They were playing basketball outside at a party or something, and they went to shoot the shot, and he said something that screwed him up, and then they made this whole major league thing. It was a movie. Honestly, it's an old movie, but
I'm such a dork.
I'm gonna watch it again. And the whole thing is that you go up to like bat or whatever, and they roast you, and so you miss the shot.
Nope, I used to do that when I would say the most awful things.
So you played baseball too?
I played softball.
Softball.
Yeah, when I tell you I was an athlete, there wasn't a sport I didn't play. I was a diver, basketball, softball, track. I tried soccer. It was not for me. No, didn't care for that one at all. I was a majorette. I was Miss Majorette of Ohio. I was in pageants.
Majorette? What is that?
I twirled fire batons. I twirled batons on the 50-yard line at basketball or football games.
What?
Yeah, I was the lead majorette of the marching band. But I wasn't allowed to play an instrument really. Like, okay, Mr. Adamants, I'm sorry. I was allowed to play, but I wasn't like good at it at all. So they gave me a million instruments to try.
Yeah.
I have rhythm. I can dance. I have those things, but I'm not a musician. There's a huge difference. So, which is why I admire my job so much, because I love getting me all these musicians. I love music. I just can't play it. So I can dance to it. So I was like, I've been twirling baton my whole life. And all I ever wanted to do was twirl, is be the featured twirler at the high school. Because one of my instructors, she was the featured twirler. And the band marches around her, and she's in the middle just twirling fire baton and smiling in this sparkling bathing suit with go-go boots. And I'm like, boom, that's me. Set me on fire. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. And I literally at 4 years old was like, I'm going to do that. I remember specifically watching her and being like, I want to sparkle, you know?
Yeah.
So then my whole life I competed in baton competitions, and it just got better and better. And next thing you know, I was twirling 3 fire batons on the 50-yard line just like I wanted. And Mr. Adamants was like, okay, so you're the best baton twirler in the state of Ohio. You can't play the piccolo for crap, so just hold it to your mouth. Whenever we have concert season, he's like, don't play the instrument, just sit there. So I didn't compete for seats, just so embarrassing. So I didn't compete for first chair or anything, but we had to be in concert band in order to be in marching band. So I had to sit there during concert season, just like.
That is hilarious.
And I tried to play despite myself, because I was like, you don't tell me what to do. It's never been good for me when people are like, you can't. I'm like, yes, I can.
Yeah.
No, I can't. So I tried, and we were playing Jurassic Park, do, 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 do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everybody knows this song. How can you screw it up? You can't. I know the song. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm going to play the riff with everybody else. Every break. Toot, toot. Like every break, you can just hear me, and I'm like, oh.
I wish you could find a recording of that.
God, thank God. My dad, I'm sure, has it, and he keeps all of the videos because I lose everything. So I'm just going to let him keep it in the archives. It's fine.
Yeah, we need to find
that. But yeah,
for the
there
show,
was, he was Mr. Adamants was very patient with me. He let me just sit there and smile. And during football season, I earned my keep. Oh, I cheerleaded too. Coach cheerleading.
So.
I've lived 1,000 lives, man.
So who are some of the people you've interviewed lately?
Oh, man. Dude, I have had a couple. Dog the Bounty Hunter was huge.
Yep.
I interviewed him. I interviewed, oh my gosh, what's her name? This is so embarrassing. Karen Kleiner, I think, or Kyla Kleiner. We're just going to say Miss Kleiner. Yeah. She was the Ted Bundy survivor that wrote a book. Mm-hmm. So I interviewed her, and I'm going to be airing that on the station here in a couple of days. And then I interviewed Murr from Impractical Jokers. Yeah, really? That was a good one. And I made him laugh, which was so exciting. I was like, if I make him laugh, then I don't suck.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I think he maybe laughed out of pity, but whatever. It still counts as a win. And let's see. I interviewed the mayor, of course, Mayor Sarah Campo Pierce, Jessica Caprera. I did her for Women's Network Wednesday. I don't know, man. There's been so many lately. Well, I'm interviewing these wrestlers that are wrestling in Clayton this weekend.
Really?
The professional wrestling thing that's happening out there, the Clash of Clayton. So that's fun.
Yeah. So you got anything else wild lined up like that?
And
how are you finding these? I mean, how are you?
We have this thing at the studio where it's like a program where these celebrities or, up and coming artists and things like that will tour the country to promote their book, their album, their, sitcom, their show, whatever they're doing, whatever it is that they're doing. And we have gotten ourselves on a list so that when they're going to do that, they call us or they email us and say, are you interested? And if it's something that you're interested in, you say yes. And if they pick you, great. If they don't, you're beat. So I've been picked a couple of times. I interviewed a former FBI counterintelligence officer or whatever. He was very interesting. That's a good one too. Frank Figluzzi.
Wow.
That was a fun one. That was not fun, actually. It was very, very scary. He's super brilliant. And the things that we were talking about, they are prevalent problems in our country that maybe we're not familiar with, because luckily for us in this little area that we live in, we are a little bit protected. So he was enlightening me to some things, and I was like, ooh, ew.
Yeah.
I think I'll stay here.
And we had that conversation last night. I was talking to Eric, the city manager guy, and he was talking about how it's safe. I was like, people take it for granted. I guess people people who are from here, they don't see that how safe it really is, because I'm coming from right around Charlotte, man. There was shootings every day,
all the time.
You know.
So I literally said to my friends, like, when I leave downtown, I walk up to the paddock, or I get off of work, and I'm just like, I'm walking away. Can't leave by yourself. I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but this is one of the safest places I've ever lived.
Yeah, there is some wild people that may come up and say some weird stuff to you, but they're not going to harm you. I mean, knock on wood. I
know, right? Let me just go ahead and say that.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just following the local news. Like, there's no...
Well, like, even the incident where the kid... Well, we'll just leave it alone. There's been incidences where people have been hurt, or things have happened, but they're not just somebody walking up to you on the street and taking a whack at you. You know what I mean? It's not that.
I know what you're talking about. I think that was
everything that happens here.
That was the only thing that happened. You know what I mean?
It was a little right. I'm like, and it was like a targeted incident. It's not like some wild man out there on the streets.
Yeah. I mean, dude, because there's just been insane things.
I was almost carjacked as a kid in Cleveland. I stole my parents' car like an idiot.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
I was like, I'm going to go out to the clubs. We had I was young and stupid. And I thought I could get away with anything. And I took my parents' car downtown to Cleveland with my girls in it, and went to go have drinks. And I stopped at a stoplight, and a guy reached right in and tried to finagle me out of the vehicle. And I can't even tell you, I don't remember what it was like or what exactly happened. I just remember his hand coming in and feeling him trying to open the door. I just punched it, man. I don't know if I dragged him. I don't know what happened. He was just no longer in the vehicle, and I was gone, and I pulled over, and I ran a light. I mean, the whole nine. What do you do? It's just fight or flight. And I'm fast as a... Yeah. So I took off, and my friends were panicking, and I called my dad on the car phone, because that's how old I am. And told on myself, and was picked it right up and was like, doot. I just got carjacked in Cleveland. He's like, in whose car? I'm like, I'm calling from your phone.
Yeah. Speaking of Cleveland, what the heck happened to Joe Flacco last year?
Oh, God, dude. I don't know. I'm so removed from my quarterback situation in Cleveland that I'm invested now in my tight ends, my running backs, my defensive line. Don't talk to me about the quarterback.
I was on the bandwagon of Joe Flacco.
It's so... I was a Baker girl, I was a Baker Mayfield girl. He was such a fighter for us, and he put his body on the line, and he was such a team player, and he got everybody so motivated, and they would he was like our Mel Gibson. He was out there bravehearting, and everybody's
yeah.
And then they were like, see you later. I'm like, why?
Came to Carolina, and they tossed him again.
Crap.
Which I'm guessing nobody from Carolina. Well, they'll hear the podcast, but dude, I think it's all of our owners.
Yeah. Cleveland for sure. Our owners, I don't even know. To be quite frankly, I don't even know who they are, and I don't want to, because I feel like they just let us down so many times. And we lost our team. We lost our team to Baltimore. And when we lost our team to Baltimore, they went and won the Super Bowl that following year. Sir, never have I thought my city was going to burn. Everybody was there was one man hated more than anyone in the world, and it was the owner, Art Modell, of our team.
Yeah.
And it was chaos there. I'm not even kidding. There are people paid to put billboards up of him and his face melting. You know what I mean? People hated him. Mm-hmm. And my family, I grew up, my dad, he put me in every sport known to man, because sports was what he loved, and it's what we connected over. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what a lot of kids and their dads bond over. But for us, that was the thing. And so we went to all the Browns games at the old stadium. I went to all the Cavs games. I went to all the Indians games. And I grew up like living in Cleveland sports. So when all of that happened and we lost that team and they went to Baltimore after being a diehard Browns fan and suffering through the dog pound and the crappiest weather with the lake rats, I was like, Art Modell can burn also. You know what I mean? And so, and everybody says like, when being a Cleveland fan, obviously the Steelers are supposed to be like our, arch rivals or whatever.
Right.
It's a Raven for me. It's a Raven all day. I'm like, I don't care about the Steelers. I mean, whatever, it's the Steelers, but the Ravens can just drop off the floor, like just buy. That's it. Glad you asked, right?
Yeah. No, I was going to say one thing on teams rebuilding, right?
Yeah.
So I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. Huge Atlanta Braves fan. I watched them suck bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a friend in high school who was a Braves fan.
And like we would just root for a base hit, and then they got rid of the coach. They got rid of all these star players.
Yeah.
And then I saw the guy from the front office, whatever manager, whatever he was, he came on and sat down with the announcers and said, yeah, we got this plan. And I was like, bull,
right?
like whatever. And
fill
then
me in.
a few years later, we win a World Series.
Yeah.
I was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had a crush on this guy who was a Braves fan, so I watched the Braves because he watched the Braves.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him now. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a kid and he was like, go Braves. And I'm like, you're Cleveland. You live in Cleveland. The Indians at the time, we had Albert Bell, Jim Tomei.
They got similar colors.
Yeah, similar colors. But I was like, it was the 90s. The Indians were killing it, man.
We played them in the World Series.
Yes, you did. I don't remember how it panned out. I got to be honest.
I think that's the one we beat them.
Probably.
And then we lost the next year to the Yankees, and I hated the Yankees.
Cleveland is always like right there. You know what I mean? We're just like, you're here. And then we can't quite reach the top, except for the Cavs when we won the championship. I was out golfing because I thought, yeah, right. You know what I mean? I'm from Cleveland. We get our hopes up for nothing all the time. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not going to watch this last game and be mad again. I'm going to go golfing, catch a little buzz. If the end of the game we lose, we lose. I won't feel so upset about it. So then my friend messaged me. I was at Bedford Creek, and she was at the Anchor. It was the former Anchor. It's burnt down now. It was crap. So sad. But she was like, come down here. The Cavs are going to win. And I'm like, don't toy with my emotions.
Yeah.
You know? And she's like, no, seriously. So we get down there, and sure enough, we were ahead. And I'm like, no, we're like comfortably ahead. And like, it's like almost like pre-celebratory, but as like a Cleveland fan of any sport, don't. Because the Browns have literally like fumbled the ball and run it back. It's terrible things have happened. So I'm like watching, and all of a sudden it happens. They win, and my phone rings immediately, and it's my dad, and he's like, "Are you watching?" And tell me that I'm not in a bar, sitting on the floor of a bar, crying on the phone with my dad, just like, "Yeah, it's happened. I'm watching it. This is crazy," and that was as close as we've ever gotten to like something really good. The Browns are never going to do it for us. I don't want to say that.
I don't know. I think you might have jinxed them into a win this year.
Okay, I'll take it.
But look, that's about all we got for time.
That's awesome. Thank you. I had such a good time.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Super fun.
So I think he's going to do some pictures now.
Okay.
I'm going to get some...
Let's do this real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to keep recording because last night he started doing pictures and I got some more stuff.
Oh, nice.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, usually. So I did want to ask you, but just for my own thing. So you starting this and like all the people that you've got to meet, have you found it's being helpful for you, like making connections business-wise? Are people interested in like what you're doing so they follow you because they're like, all right, I'm going to get on this and see what's going on?
I started having like bands and stuff reach out to me. Like it's just now really, it's airing. Then I literally a week ago put the YouTube out, and that's kind of it's kind of grown. The situation.
I was like, because I found it took me a while. I mean, we're on year 3 now, and just now I'm starting to get people in advance to message me and be like, hey, would you MC this parade on this day? Or opportunities are coming up.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like this weird selfish thing. Like the more I expose myself, the more those things happen.
Yeah.
But I've never had me be the product. You know what I mean? It's always been like, I'm selling, I'm making drinks, or I'm entertaining for somebody else's event. You know what I mean? It's never just I'm the one that they're asking for, which
Yeah.
is very hard and unusual.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time with it.
Yeah, I see. That's the same thing. Like, heck, I've been doing these radio commercials, and people didn't even realize I was a car salesman.
Right.
They thought I was a personality.
See, and it's the opposite for me. I was a bartender, and now they're
Yeah.
like, "You're on the what? You're on the radio?"
Yeah.
And then they'll come back and be like, "Oh, I heard your commercial the other day. I didn't know that's you." And I'm like, "It's been me for 3 years."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird.
No, I mean, it's, wasn't really a part of the plan. Like, I knew I studied. All right. So I left the job and had a management position, and I wanted to get back into sales. I knew that's where how I knew how to make money within the margins. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I had to drive an hour to Charlotte every day.
Ugh.
Yes,
Yuck.
but I spent it very wisely. This was when I was 33. So this was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember I studied I'm podcasts with different like word tracks, and I'm just boom 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 and 2 hours a day. And then I get home and read like sales word track books
Right.
and like all of these. I mean, it started off with like Grant Cardone's, and then I realized like, oh, he's just selling his next book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you find like the real people that are just putting out like real like psychological stuff. I studied body language. I studied
Seriously.
I
Reading people has been honestly, my biggest gift. Like,
Yeah.
I really look at it as a gift, like being able to tell people's body language if they're uncomfortable or if maybe they're holding something back.
Yeah.
I can tell. I can always tell. And I try to expose myself in a way that opens them up a little bit more, because like the more that I'm like, whatever, the more like loose with it,
Yeah.
the looser they get.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So and I read this book. It was written by like a CIA guy who was like really in the body language. Anyways, so I studied all
We
that,
could do
and,
this
and
so
then
much.
I got to branding. Right. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right. So the next step is branding, because I knew I was gonna burn through what I was doing to just start. I was like, I got to make my own money somehow.
Right.
You know. And I studied the branding stuff, and then we took the opportunity to get away, because we had already moved like an hour and some change away from where our family was
Right.
into North Carolina. And
I love North Carolina.
yeah, and then we came up here, and everybody was really nice. Her family was really nice, and she's never really lived close to her family. And we came up here and for a vacation, and this is how crazy and big New York was. We went
Yeah.
to Darien Lake.
Yeah.
And for Six Flags, spent the night, got up the next morning, drove to Niagara, and then we're like, all right, we're going to go to Watertown, for a couple of days.
Right.
3 hours away? What?
That's wild. I know.
And then the city's 6 hours? Like,
You
what
can
the-
drive 6 hours. Yeah, my friends are like, let's meet in the city. I'm like, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
I can meet you at home. It takes me 6 hours to get home.
Yeah.
It takes me 6.5 to get to New York City, and I don't even want to go.
Yeah.
I don't
I've
want to
never
go.
been.
You know what? That's not right. I shouldn't say that. Don't bother. Because I was so like, when I was younger, I wanted to go so bad. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's even funny that now my friends at home are like, we always knew you'd be in New York. And I'm like, no, guys.
Yeah.
Like, we thought different New York. Like, even
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be Carrie Bradshaw, like in New York City in my little outfits. No. I'm like, it's 6.5 hours away. And when I went, I was older, so I was kind of like set in my ways, I guess you could say. So I was like, ooh, no. Like, everything's too much for me.
Yeah.
I'm overstimulated.
Another crazy thing is I ain't never been on an airplane.
Sir,
Yeah. So look.
figure that out sooner
Listen,
than later.
I was-
I don't know. The stuff's falling off of them now.
Listen.
Have you been watching the news?
No. But I'm
On an airplane.
I know.
Yeah. No, listen, like the third plane from like Delta Airlines or something like that lost its landing gear. It just fell out of the plane. Like, just fell out. It's like the third one
Don't
in
tell
like
me
2
that.
weeks or something.
Listen, I am.
Yeah.
I went on a couple of cruises, and I'm out in the middle of the ocean. I'm like, this is not human nature to be out in the middle of the
I
ocean.
said
You know
those
what I mean?
exact words. I'm like, if I have to strap something on to breathe or to
Yeah.
be just to exist in that environment, I'm not doing it because I'm not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
If I was supposed to be there, then I would, be able to be there.
This guy wants to come on come on the show and he wants to take me scuba diving. I'm like,
Scuba diving?
listen, I
don't think so.
I'm in my pool, and I'm talking about up here
In St. Lawrence River?
Yeah, and I'm up here.
No.
I'm up here in my pool the other day, and I'm like just swimming under the water. I'm like, I'm kind of floating back. I was like, I don't know if I could force myself.
I mean, I would watch it. It'd be funny.
Could you imagine me, a full-size dude in a wetsuit, just like, all right, here
I'm not.
we go.
That's the one reason why I'm not going to do it. I'm over here talking about FaceTiming with a double chin and we're going to climb into a wetsuit. I don't think so. I do not think so.
Yeah, I'm like,
I tried on 75 outfits before I got here today, sir. Wetsuit.
Yeah, I got this T-shirt. I was wanting to rock it last night, but I wasn't sure.
WWOA, what is it?
This is dude, you got to check. This is the guy that I was talking about. He guarded Ted Bundy.
Oh, yeah.
So he came up here and he pitched his show. Not a show, that it's like a charity thing.
Yeah.
It's the Wounded Warriors Outdoor Adventure. They take.
That's right. We talked about this.
Yeah, they take soldiers and stuff on. And
You
like
guys send some
handicap.
people my way so that when you talk to these people, because I try to find them all the time.
Yeah.
I'm finding new people all the time, but I don't. Sometimes you just slip through them. So if there's somebody that wants to come on the air and talk about it, share it with me. I'd love it.
I'll definitely get him hooked up because he calls me all the time. Like,
Yeah.
we talk a lot. He's really trying to help this thing out, and it's
Isn't that the
growing.
coolest part about this? Like, you get to meet these people, and then they're like, "Hey, by the way, I'm doing this thing," and you get to just share their like.
I found out last night that the city manager he helps people find wounded deer that they shot.
Wild.
Which is a really cool thing because you can screw up and have a mouse shot.
What's he, like a tracker?
Well, he's got a dog. He'll just track.
Was a hound?
He's got some kind of dog. I don't remember what kind of dog it
I have
was.
so many questions.
Yeah.
See, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Does he smell the deer's blood or what's that?
Yeah, they track him down. And then we were talking about there's a guy that
I could never hunt. I could never.
It is an experience. And then look,
I clapped. I went hunting with my friends. We were all on one of those things, and there was like a big old deer, and I was like, "Oh God, it was so pretty and majestic." We've been up there for like 6 hours. I was reading my book, and I just started to walk kind of towards us, and I was like, "Oh!" Because I just didn't want to get shot. So they made me go back to the cabin.
Yeah.
And told me not to come back out again.
I don't know. This might mess it up even worse. My experience with hunting was I started out finding the deer. My dad is shot and dragged out of the woods and cutting it up.
them to their death.
No. They were already dead.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like that one right there, and then they killed it.
No,
like you were the hound.
No.
Yeah. Right? That would kill it.
No. He would shoot him and then have me drag him out of the woods, and I'd cut him up. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right. And then we take them to the processor and then we eat them. I
can't do any of that. My boyfriend. See, I think this is why me and my boyfriend are together. He went hunting once. He told me the story, and he was like, "I'm not a very good hunter," and I'm like, "Oh shucks, I really need that man to bring me home the meat." Said no one. So he's like, "Well, I shot a deer once," and I'm like, "Well, how did it go?" And he goes, "Well, it was a 3-legged wounded deer, and it was the only one that I could get." I'm like, "That is awful." I'm like, "You killed a wounded deer," and he was like, "Well, it was wounded." I'm like,
yeah.
I don't understand. Preyed on the weak.
Terrible.
And I'm like, also, if it had 3 legs, I hope you didn't eat it. Like, what caused it to have 3 legs? It could have been like
mutant.
Yes, a mutant sick deer.
Oh man.
Right? Is that rain?
Oh yeah.
What are we gonna do? I live here.
Aggressively on and off all day.
I live here now. I can't go out there. I'm a mixed girl. I blew this hair out today and everything. Son of a bitch.
Oh wow.
So yeah, but did you see what's happening in Loudville though right now?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, and you know what's weird is people were talking, when they hear thunder and lightning, and I'm like, they're like, oh, it's thunder. And,
I love a storm.
And I'm like, y'all act like I do when I see it snowing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm used to thundering every day.
When I was in North Carolina, we had one snowstorm, in the 3 years I was there. It was like 2.5 years. It wasn't very long. And there we had lived on this little cul-de-sac, and it started to snow, and I'm like, oh, rats. It was a dusting. It looked like powdered sugar. It was just nothing. Yeah. And I'm like, well, it sucks. So I get in my car and I go to work. Nobody's there. And I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. Back in the day of the flip phone, so boop, T9 took me 35 minutes to text anybody. And I'm sitting in the car just waiting, and it's still snowing. I'm like, I guess I'll just go to the store and like grab a coffee and like
Yeah.
some donuts, whatever, you know. So I go to the store. It was the end of the world. Like everybody was in there getting water and paper towels and cereal and milk and cheese, and I'm like, this is going. I mean, I got bumped into. Like people
Yeah.
were like, get away, and I'm like, what? They were buying push brooms so that they could move the snow. I'm like, you guys, this is gonna melt in like 12 hours. I don't know, maybe even less. It's
Yeah.
going to stop. And sure enough, by like 3:00 that afternoon, it was like North Carolina again. And I'm like, there's no milk, cheese, or water anywhere.
Yeah.
No push brooms.
I ain't
And
gonna
it's
lie.
been not even 12 hours.
Listen,
Like,
my mama used to call me every time it starts snowing. You better go get that milk and bread. You know,
it's crazy. Get the bread.
And you know, it's always looked at as almost. I don't know if we were all real freaked out about it or whatever,
Yeah.
but it was more like, to me, it was a surprise holiday. You know what I
Right.
mean? You get
I
the-
look
you
at
get
weather
the-
as surprise adventures. Like we have the day off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have no, there's a great excuse,
Correct.
And even the next day, you could just call your boss and say, hey, yeah, I can snow in my driveway,
Right.
man.
I'm not going to lie to you. A little piece of me was like, I wonder if it's going to be windy enough to fuck with an antenna.
Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah.
excuse my language. Maybe I'll just be able to go in late tomorrow. I
Yeah.
can sleep another 30 minutes. If I
Yeah.
get 30 minutes, it's like 3 hours. It's the best feeling.
All right, let's wrap this up so I can put it on the podcast.
You're the best. That was
Yeah.
super fun.